All right, welcome everyone to our bi-weekly update here at Gentian, where we bring to you what's hot and the topics that are on our mind this week. This week, there's actually nothing on our mind whatsoever, so I just want to sign off. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Go enjoy your day. See you next time. Okay, I'm just kidding. Of course, that's not true, but I wanted to at least open today with gratitude, and I will get to housekeeping in just a moment. One is birthdays. Today is Peter Nordenberg's birthday. And as we celebrate here, he is not here today. He is celebrating his birthday in San Diego, which is on the West Coast and is probably really, really, really hot and has no water whatsoever, according to the reports we're hearing about what's happening out west. But hopefully Peter's enjoying his wonderful day. I texted him already this morning, and he responded with a super long text that said, thank you. At any rate, to myself, another very important birthday, and probably one of the most important to me, is my grandfather. My grandfather turns 93. Yes, I have a grandfather. He's alive. He's doing well. He's at Bickford in Fort Dodge, Iowa, and was recently Father's Day. So I usually call him on Father's Day because he was the most father to me in my father figure, bringing up hard work, dedication, being there. So a lot of the things that I've learned in life, I've learned from him. So for me, Father's Day was really about celebrating him. Giving him a call, talking to him. He likes baseball. He loves to do a bunch of things now. He takes all sorts of laps around the center, and he likes to drive around in his car. Yes, he's 93, and he does like to drive around, and he is a very safe driver. So to me, that is my gratitude and celebration for today, both for Peter and obviously for my grandfather as well. And I know we all just celebrated Father's Day. And I think Father's Day is a great day to take advantage of. Anybody on here probably has a father. Whether you know them or not, whether they live with you or not, whether they were a great dad, whether that's all up something different. But I think the key is we all have life because of them. So we want to celebrate that piece today for the last weekend as well. So with that, I'll give you a couple of topics in just a moment that are hot on the bigger picture. But before we go to that, I want to have Ashley Neuwirth do our housekeeping, which keeps us all in order.
Thank you, Chris, and good morning, everyone. Nice to see you, and thank you for joining us. Tomorrow is our Gentian Women's Group, so ladies and Gentian, if you haven't registered already, you can still join us. Unfortunately, I cannot get the supplies to you, but we are going to be having a painting rocks or a gratitude painting event tomorrow. So if you didn't sign up for this one, please keep an eye out for the future invitations. The ladies have lots of things in store coming up here in August. Will be our next Gentian Women's Group. And then I can't believe it, but next week is already the 4th of July weekend. So our offices will be closed on Monday, July the 5th in observance of Independence Day. So we hope everyone has a wonderful 4th of July weekend. And then we'll be right here on Wednesday, July the 7th with another bi-weekly update. So we look forward to having you all join us again. And a community event happening that same week, Friday, July the 9th and July the 10th, is Gathering on the Green, held right across the street from us here at Gentian at Rotary Park in Mequon. So if you haven't checked it out, please take a peek. And we are proud sponsors, so we look forward to some great musical performances by Trace Adkins as well as Cheap Trick. And then Lisa will celebrate a birthday on July the 15th next month. And then we'll be back again for our Wednesday, July the 21st bi-weekly update. And then save the date for this one. Our Health and Wealth webinar series is coming back, and we will have Michelle Norris, who has joined us twice previously, talking about some things of what we should eat and when we should eat them. So some in-season things. And again, save the date for Thursday, July the 22nd for that one. And Chris, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate that. Well, I hope everybody's well today. I got up super early this morning and I burnt 2,000 calories. I left my food in the oven too long. So at any rate, that's how I like to burn calories. I like to burn them really easily. So it's pretty easy to do. Just don't set a timer and forget about it. So at any rate, I thought that that'd be a great start to the day. But what I'd like to do today is just to kind of introduce a few different topics. By the way, Peter responded. He's actually watching the show, so he's one of the 4 viewers today. So I know during the middle of summer, everybody's got other stuff to do. Kind of jokey, but he says 75 degrees every day, so it's not that warm there. And he appreciated the jacket choice, which is even funnier. So at any rate, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, it seems like there. I think it's 2 hours ahead, but anyway, I hope he's having still a wonderful time. So today, a couple of different topics are going to be, I've got a book that I've read from a client who gave me the book in 2005. It's Jerry Smith. He gave me a book, Leading with the Heart, from Mike Krzyzewski. I've been doing a book summary on it. I'll bring a couple lines up from that. Really some great things when you find other leaders and how they approach things. It doesn't all apply because I don't have a basketball team, but what it is, it's a team nonetheless. Today, though, the hot topics that we're looking at are going to be things that are personal to you. We've got quite a few different topics we're going to explore over time, and we're going to create modules around those for a surviving spouse, for all sorts of different things. Or what do I do if I have too much money? How do I give it away? Or how do I inherit money? What do I do with a spouse or a parent maybe who's having issues with memory? There'll be a lot of things we address, but I want to address a couple of those today, and I know Ken's got some phenomenal topics to cover there as well. We'll have Zach with the markets. The markets have been great. We've seen a 4 or 5% correction. You've seen some pretty high volatility in some different asset classes that Zach's going to talk about as well. So we'll go through those as well. Remember, volatility is the key. One thing, and there's several topics that keep coming up to me as well when it comes to this. It's adaptability. If you're prepared for change, you're going to have a great life. Every day is change and every day is unknown. I think if we think that it's going to go back to the old way or things are going to be just the same, I think that's where we get frustrated because it won't and it isn't and it doesn't. So to me, at least the topic today is still adaptability and maybe the open and growth mindset, because you never know what's going to happen to a spouse. You never know what's going to happen to those you love. You never know what's going to happen to a team you love. That's all unknown. So let's actually prepare for that. We know about the markets. You've seen that. The markets are a very bumpy ride. You've seen that slide with us as well. And recently, we've also got a wonderful slide updated from Dimensional Funds, which I'll show you as soon as that's approved by our compliance. It's showing us the growth and value cycle since about 1920 all the way through to current and when each one wins. But I think if you look at it again, inflation, cryptocurrencies, mega mergers, politics, I think things I've seen this week that maybe have shown up as well, really kind of bearing into different asset classes. When the markets become frothy toward the end of a bull market, what happens? What does it look like? I remember back in 1995, people sold their homes and left their companies to day trade their 401ks and roll them over and become day traders and all as well. So I just saw JP Morgan or somebody else, some younger advisors who left JP Morgan, I think it was, set up a cryptocurrency trading platform where people can come in and just day trade cryptocurrencies. So I've seen this happen before with day trading stocks. And it was something like a factor like 98% or something in that range lost all their money when trading stocks. With an asset that's as volatile as cryptocurrency, who knows what it will be, but you're going to keep hearing those stories. Remember, when people tell you stories, they typically only tell you stories when they win. So when you hear the story about how well it did, they didn't tell you they lost $40,000 to make 15. So just remember those. That's called human nature as well. So we study that pretty heavily as we run through as well. So I told you my going big, but let me have, I got a little selfish with this. Let me have Ken share his going big.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Great to be with you all today. Happy birthday, Peter Nordenberg on the West Coast. We love you, brother, and hope you enjoy your special day in San Diego. So my going big is really gratitude, something really gratifying for why do we do what we do for you? And watching you guys get better and better, watching you guys become more financially secure is one of the most gratifying things that we do as an advisor for you. The other part of that is once you are secure and you know it and you feel it and you've been retired for a while, watching you create traditions with your family. We just had a recent client here for a meeting and she is secure and she has enough money and now she's actually doing things that are going to create memories and traditions with her family going forward for a long, long time. That's a very gratifying thing for us to watch you all do with your families and your money. So my gratitude goes out to being able to watch all of you just be really wonderful people and wonderful families.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ken. How about yourself, Zach?
Thank you, Chris. Extremely grateful as well. For Father's Day weekend, I got a chance to go back to Lasonia in Green Lake and golf with my dad. Phenomenal weather, just a great day spending time with him. And also golf related and along the lines of what Chris mentioned when it comes to adaptability and continuing to adapt as things happen in life. For those of you that watched the US Open last weekend, Jon Rahm was the winner. And if you follow golf, a few weeks earlier, he was in the lead, pretty much guaranteed to win. Found out that he had a positive COVID test, even though he was asymptomatic, and had to immediately withdraw and essentially lose the tournament. And after he won the US Open last weekend, they were really trying to get it out of him how unfortunate it was and talking about it. And he quite simply just said it had to be done. It had to be done to have what happened today happen. And so my going big as well is just, I'm extremely grateful for all the things in my life that had to be done to get me in front of you right here today, and also to be part of this team. Extremely grateful for all of those different things in my life.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that as well. So for ourselves, again, we enjoy going big. Again, going big is to change what's going on. A lot of stuff that you read if you see the news, and I know a lot of you don't see it anymore, is decidedly negative. You know, the things that aren't talked about, I think this is what's interesting. Let me find a quick perspective item here. When something is unknown and people are very fearful of it, that's when people make strong reactions, right? And that's typically when the news media catches something. They want to bring it to your attention because they want your eyeballs on their screen, or they want you to be reading and watching because they sell more commercials. So when you get, does the news media really look at what is most informing you or what most gets your attention? It's definitely what gets your attention, because that's what pays for the commercials to keep them on. So when you look at this, when something like unemployment is massive, and I was just talking to a client about this the other day on the phone. Remember about 8 or 10 years ago when your children and grandchildren were graduating from college and they couldn't find a job anywhere? They were going to grad school, they were doing stuff because they couldn't find work anywhere. There was no jobs for them when they came out of school. How the times have changed. They may have multiple offers now. They may have 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 different things they could do, and not just like the fry cook at at McDonald's. It's talking really good jobs, and there are people hiring everywhere. It's amazing to watch the turn of the economy and watch these events go on. But remember, once again, once it was horrible way back when you couldn't get a job, they quit reporting it when it's good and there's a plethora of jobs. So the same thing occurs with coronavirus. When it is unknown and we're shutting down the economy, and I tell you what, eyeballs were on the screen, and we all were because we want to be informed about it, right? But as you start to see it reduce, as you start to see it within like Ozaukee County, I think it's 98%, 97% of all adults over 65 are vaccinated. Some just big numbers on the vaccinations. Low numbers when it comes to actually new cases as well. What's interesting right now, if you go to an event, pretty much the mask mandate may be on, but you're going to find people are basically resuming without masks their old ways. Now, here's the thing I'm going to say. Watch 14 days out. This started happening a few weeks ago. We should be seeing pretty strong spikes right now and over the next few weeks. If you so keep your eyes posted on that. If that doesn't occur, maybe we're past this. Somebody also believed that heat and humidity caused the coronavirus to actually secede or to drop as well, or to kill it as well. At any rate, it's interesting to watch the news media and not cover that nearly as much as things are good as well. When the market drops 1,000 points, you're going to find everybody talking about it. When the market goes up 400 or 500 points like it did the other day, nobody talks about it. So again, remember, it's always on the bad side it's reported, very rarely on the good side. That's why you have to watch Sunday Morning, because Sunday Morning, I used to do with Charles Kuralt years ago, is the only show I ever found that really shows good news. And there's a couple of others as well. But at any rate, I just wanted to go through that as well. You know, we all have something coming up here. We have country songs. We have a wonderful country group, or a couple of country singers coming over here to the Gathering on the Green, which is kind of fun. So we have, Trace Adkins. It's awesome. So in that spirit, I started listening to some country music. And one of the top songs right now is a song by Blake Shelton called Corn. And oh my gosh, my wife and I are from Iowa. And as we listen to that song, it literally is all about corn. It was awesome. And then right after that on the playlist was a song about dirt. Like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely amazing. So it's corn and dirt. This is like, I'm from Iowa. This is great. So I thought maybe I'd try my hand at writing a country song. So what I did is I kind of looked down and said, well, what could I write a country song about here? Let me look here. I started writing down some of the lyrics. I was going to write a country song called Dam. So it could be like this: saw fish swimming to the dam. When it's warm outside, hot dam. I got some really good lines here coming up, but I wanted to share that with you. I'm just inspired to write a country song. Maybe that's not the appropriate topic, but I tell you what, there's some good stuff that goes with it. No, it's wonderful, super easy listening music, and it's typically going to be clean, which is nice as well. So everybody can hear it. But anyway, there's some good stuff coming up at Gathering on the Green. Good summer stuff. You're seeing some new artists come out and tour, which is outstanding as well. So before I'll turn it over to Zach here. I'll come back with a couple of other ideas, but let me turn it over to Zach for some of the markets, because we've had some very interesting moves. We've had a continuing strengthening, if you will, in our value categories. We've actually had a couple of categories that have just been very surprising, which is nice to see. I'll let Zach report on most of those, but it's nice to see some shift and turn in the market. And I've been sharing that with people. Listen, this is why we asked to allocate for times like now. So Zach, how about yourself? What's going on with markets or portfolios?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. The markets are still doing well from where we last talked at the biweekly webinar 2 weeks ago. S&P 500, 13.06% positive on the year. The Dow Jones Industrial Average 10.91. The NASDAQ up 10.59. If you remember from previous, that one was struggling a little bit to start the year compared to the other indices, and that one is more heavily weighted towards technology, 49% of it or so. And what we didn't really notice over the last 6 months is that the NASDAQ actually has corrected over 5% twice in 2021 already, once at 9.7% and once at 6.7. So even though markets have done really well overall to start the year, there's still volatility inside of it. So it was just very interesting to see. Russell 2000, if you remember, tracks small caps up 16.26% on the year. And if you remember as well, that value really outpaced growth to start the year, which is still the case. Value's up 26.56 and growth is up 6.75, but growth is actually up 5.14% in the last month. So just very interesting to see, and a common mistake that we see from investors all the time is, oh, value's up, value's up. I'm gonna shift from this growth that isn't doing as well, move over to value. What just happened? Value went down 3 or 4% and growth went up 5. So that's why we want to stay diversified, never try to guess or assume whether growth or value is going to outperform. Own them both and continue to rebalance over time. A couple of very interesting facts that we heard from Raymond James recently as well is that Alaska Air reported consumer spending levels have recently surpassed 2019 levels. So very interesting to see. Chris touched on vacations. It's great to see that people are traveling and starting to do that again. And in the airlines industry as well, Raymond James reported that Delta Airlines is planning to hire 1,000 pilots by next summer. So extremely interesting. That seems like a very large number. I don't know, context to that and how many pilots they normally hire, but that seems like a lot to compensate for the higher demand. One chart that I wanted to show you guys, I'll try to share my screen here, 1 second. Chris and Ken, are you guys able to see my screen?
Yep, we see it.
Perfect. And so Peter shared this actually with us. This is from the Venture Capitalist, and this shows the 100 largest companies in the world and where they're located. 59 of them are in the US. So as we know that the markets, company related, generally favors the US, but we didn't really know by how much, but this chart just showed a great example of how much it really does, and why we have a bigger percentage as far as portfolio and equities in the US markets, because they are so strong and we have so many companies there. But at the same time, there's still 41 of the world's largest companies outside of the US. So why we continue to diversify and through international large cap and also emerging markets too. But really just and incredible to see how large some of these companies are. Based off of the size of the bubble is how big these companies are and where they're located. Just really incredible, and we wanted to share that with you. On the fixed income side of things, nothing really new to report from 2 weeks ago. Yields are extremely low, as we all know, if we ever tried to find more yield in our savings account or money market. The 1 year up slightly, 3 basis points since last time, 0.11%. The other ones have slightly decreased. The 5 year is still 0.77% current yield, the 10 year 1.45, and the 30 year 2.03. One real quick thing that we wanted to touch on as well, if you've seen it on the news or just in general over the last year, we've heard a lot about cryptocurrency and the different challenges with it. And one of those challenges that we always kind of mention is what's going to happen when governments start to regulate it more or want to regulate it more. And we're starting to see the effects of that. China came out, started talking about banning cryptocurrency or trying to get their own cryptocurrency, a state-run cryptocurrency. And in the last 3 months, 2 months, Bitcoin has actually corrected over 55%. It was at a peak of around 65,000 and it dropped all the way down to almost 29,000. So when we talk about corrections in the NASDAQ at 9.7% or 5.6%, and here a 55% correction, it's really interesting to see, and especially for all of these companies or even some countries that accepted cryptocurrencies that maybe someone purchased it with Bitcoin, one Bitcoin being $66,000, and 2 months later it now half of its value. So just a great reminder of how volatile it really is.
Is that kind of correlating as well with what we talked about earlier? Nobody's talking about it. So you've heard cryptocurrency fall out of the news pretty dramatically. So it's interesting to watch exactly what you're saying, just even in real life. I appreciate that as well, Zach. It's great to see some of the different assets. And again, historically, I was just talking with a client as well, a longtime client, but we just reviewed some of the reasons we own the 13 different asset classes we do. And because you never know what's going to perform well. We talked about why we rebalance. We talked about the, excuse me, historical long-term averages of the markets. We talked about, a lot of the things that we talk about as well. And the fundamentals are extremely strong. And I know we sometimes just glass over them because we talk about them and look at them every day. But from time to time, it's great for us to go back to those, remind you why we do it. What are the things we're doing that you forget we're doing as well? So a lot of you are going to start to see in our appointments kind of a checklist of different items. And there's probably only 70 or 80 items that we have on that sheet, but there's more that we check. So as we go through, how we prepare for that is to do a full check of your situation, your plan, what's going on before we even have a conversation with you as well. So anyway, just wanted to talk about a few of those. With that, we have a couple of different things going on as well. I wanted to just give one thing I think Zach said earlier. Make your mess your message. And it really reminded me of John Rahm. It was Robin Roberts, who I've been listening to on a masterclass. But John Rahm made his mess a message, which was to be patient. When he was taken out of the lead and taken from a tournament, he goes, I knew something good would be coming. This is his mindset. He said it out loud. I knew something good would be coming. Something greater would be coming. So he's now using that mess that he was in to become his message. I love it when a word like that correlates. Make your mess your message. So he has a platform with which he can talk about this, right? Some other people have platforms they can talk about. The nice thing about free speech in America is that you can talk about that. So anyway, I thought that correlated well with what Zach said earlier, so I wanted to bring that up. But let me do this if I may. I want to bring Ken in with some phenomenal planning ideas. What do you have for us today, Ken?
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the, I'll call it the touchy-feely stuff, not so much the numbers, which are very important in financial planning as well. But when we go through your scenario and you've been with us for a while, even if you haven't been with us for a while, some of these questions come up like this: am I going to be okay? That's a very serious question. And yes, we do answer that for you on the retirement side of things. And we also answer that question for you if one of the spouses is not going to be around and it maybe passes away. It's a very tender topic, if you will. It's a very serious question that we get. We take it very serious when we do get that question from you, because you really are opening yourselves up to a very vulnerable spot in your life. And we appreciate that. And we will take the time to make sure that you feel that you got the good answer that you're looking for as well. So, this usually comes up, from a spouse as, am I going to be okay if something happens to my spouse? And it usually is around health scares in our lives. Not all the time, but sometimes that's what prompts these questions. You may be thinking about that question, even 5, 10, 15 years before the health scare even happens in your life. So again, we're here for you. I know it's a very touchy-feely, a very tender topic, but it's something that we all probably think about from time to time. And so if 4 or 5 clients have brought that up to my attention recently, there's probably more of you who are thinking about that simple question of, am I going to be okay? There's a lot of things that consider in that. There's Social Security. As a couple, you only get to keep one Social Security. Typically, you get the higher one of the two, but you only, one Social Security is going to fall off. And so we need to understand what that looks like. Are we in a position to replace that from the portfolio, from your savings, things of that nature? So that's a very serious topic. We're here for you. Let us know if it's on your mind. We'll address it proactively from time to time as well. Another one that really has come up is estate planning. You've all heard about it. Some say, hey, if I do estate planning, does that mean that I'm going to die? The answer is no, that's not the case, but it's a very responsible thing for you to do, especially when you've accumulated the assets you have. The reason why you're wealthy is because you thought about it. And so estate planning is the next step in all that. Very simple things like beneficiaries, transfer on death accounts, payable on death accounts at the bank. These all come up from time to time. Wills and trusts, healthcare power of attorneys, durable power of attorneys. I'm going to tell you one story I heard recently from a daughter who was playing volleyball. She became unconscious on the court. She had to be rushed to the hospital. She was 20 years old at the time. Okay, so she's considered an adult. She's unconscious at the hospital. Mom and dad show up, obviously, to say, hey, what's going on with my daughter? Is she okay? And guess what? No one could release information about their daughter. Why? Because she's an adult and HIPAA rules. So we sometimes, and we most times, think about healthcare power of attorneys going up the ladder, if you will, to mom and dad or even ourselves, right? But sometimes we forget that we can also go down the ladder as well to our children who maybe aren't married at that point in time, or their scenario just isn't that at the time. But again, having healthcare power of attorney for our children who are adults is also an important piece of the puzzle as well. So just wanted to bring that one up to you. That one doesn't get talked about too much, but it does come into play. You know, it doesn't happen every day. It's a one-off situation, but it's good to be prepared if that one-off situation happens to you. So again, we're here for you, help you guide you down the right path. Whatever you need, we're here for you. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Chris.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's an interesting point about the children. I don't think most people think that I need to have a healthcare power of attorney for my children, but it does go both ways, and I think that's an important one. I usually think it's for their parents. At any rate, a couple of things I wanted to touch on here. There was an interesting thing that we talked about in building community. So building community, it's what you do for the area that you're in to make it better. And there was some interesting, we had a conversation with Lee Brower and a bunch of people on the Thriver call that we have. And it was interesting, John Levy put some ideas out there, and it's called How to Build a Community. One, generosity, getting people involved. And that's a tough thing after COVID, getting people involved, because people want to say, I'm not so sure. You know, remember, we've been pretty selfish with our time. I'm not sure I want to put my time into building a community, because there's two people in the community. There are those who consume and there are those who create. I would say, look at how you can create in the community and not just consume, because there's plenty of consumers, people who take and just go about their lives with their own personal stuff. What can you do outside yourself to help someone else? It was a great one. Novelty, what's new and unfamiliar. You ever see that place where something's being built or something new is going up? If you're in Mequon, it's pretty much on every corner lot, or every lot that was empty is now being built on. So there's a lot of novelty going on in our city of Mequon. But what are the newer, unfamiliar things? What went away? What would you like to see come back? Just look at some of the different ideas, and creating something that's new and unfamiliar is an awesome idea as well. Curation, things don't happen overnight, like relationships. What great relationship that you have. You just met somebody, it's all new. It's like the dating phase with somebody, right? But great deep relationships who are there for you happen over time. You need to go out of your way to inconveniently for you spend time with them in many forms. So that's another one as well. It's called curation. Last one is awe. This is the most desired human emotion. So awe, do you guys remember the last time you felt awe? You ever watch your children or grandchildren? Awe seems to be something they live by. It's something that they create on a constant basis, right? It's just awe. It's when you're, oh my gosh, you're overwhelmed by the beauty of, something, or by a moment. Awe is something we look at. Now, what's interesting is we use the word awful as a bad thing, don't we? I would actually pertain that, and I want to flip that. I think awful is actually a great thing. If you are in awe of something, the Grand Canyon, or something amazing your children have done, or just the fact that the weather's been great for, say, several days, that's a sense of awe. Cultivate that, understand it. Look at things that are awful and make sure you're looking at them as awe, not bad. So sometimes people take those in the wrong context. I wanted to put a few of those out there. And this is a way, I think, just 4 or 5 steps in building a community. I thought was really interesting. I've been going to share that for a couple of different sessions. But again, I think at this point in time, it's great as we're getting back into the community. What does it take for us to rebuild community? Because it's very difficult. There's a lot of things happening out there. There's a lot of violence, a lot of people who are assembling that normally don't. A lot of things are happening that don't normally happen because people was pent up, and they've got, they're saying PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, from what we just had. It's a real happening. 40% of people still feel massive anxiety from the coronavirus and lockdown. So just be patient with people. Be kind. The way to fight violence, or maybe stronger words, is with love and kindness. So it's an interesting piece. I think as you look at it, some people may say, well, that's not the strong way to do it. No, but it's the right way. So you'll find that you cannot diffuse that unless you do use kindness and love. So there's a book I'm reading called Love Your Enemies. I'll report more on that as I get through to it. But it's a wonderful topic for what's going on right now in politics and families and communities. So at any rate, I wanted to share that piece as well. One thing I wanted to do as well is talk a little bit about Future Loop as we end this in the last couple of minutes. And what's interesting, it reminds me of the most groundbreaking invention of all time, the shovel. So that is really an amazing invention. But if you look at it, that's a great dad joke you can use as well. But as I look at Future Loop today, here's what they're finding. So essentially, Toyota teaches robots to deal with transparent and reflective objects. That's typically very, very difficult because when things are transparent, it reads it back as if it's not there. But what Toyota is doing is teaching, so they're teaching robots to deal with things in our home and to help us with certain things. And they're making massive progress. Yesterday, or a few days ago, I saw on a golf course from Club Car, they have this little box. It's about the size of, I don't know, just a cart, if you will. You put your golf clubs in it and it follows you around the golf course. You don't have to carry, push, or pull your clubs. So you can walk and not have a caddy and not have a push cart as well. And it will follow you around the golf course as you go without touching it. It's a brilliant idea. I don't know how well it works. I'm sure it's got some things where it starts going, toward the next green and you're going the wrong direction. But very, very cool to see some of the robotics and ideas and the new technologies in a real form that may be hitting home somewhat soon, which is interesting. This is a good one too. Elon Musk made a statement recently, I'm sure you were all riveted to, but Elon Musk had said, Starlink claims to bring fast internet to the whole world by September. Now listen to this, fast internet to the whole world by September. Then he goes on further to say, we'll need to seek regulatory approvals before being able to actually provide the service, but we'll be ready to. So interesting. I love the claims he makes. He makes bold claims, and that's an interesting piece as well. Spider-inspired joints make a leap in robotics. So if you look at how spiders are in their joints, so they're actually looking at making a leap in robotics and how they can handle things and how they can work for us by just studying the nature that we have that exists around us. It's huge. Tesla has an AI day. They're going to showcase all their latest technologies. So basically, if you look at AI day, you're probably going to view it online. If you love Tesla, go online, look for AI day. They're going to show all their latest developments, which are really mind-numbing and crazy when you see what they are. They'll put them all into the car at some point in time. Some have to have approval, some not. I think as well, GM, this is interesting. GM is developing fuel cells for everything, for automobile or for planes, trains, but not automobiles. Why is that? They're saying they first have to find transporting cargo. If there's an accident, is way different than transporting people. So the lowest risk is to transport cargo first. Typically, the last thing to get fuel cell or electric is human beings driving in a vehicle because of the risks that are involved. AI, can AI prevent the effects of the pandemic? That's an interesting one. And here's one that you guys may look at. They've just approved a new Alzheimer's drug. I think it was Biogen just recently. And there was some, let's call it debate in the FDA, because a few people had dissension in it, but they still came out. They say, listen, it's a debilitating disease that more and more people are suffering from. They decided that the risks were worth it. So you and your doctor can decide whether or not you want to take the risk from something that's basically, I think somebody had said it's a curse that is going to take me at any point. I'll use anything I can to potentially help me. That was what one of the potential patients had said in the article, which was interesting. But looking at some of these, there's breakthrough drugs that are occurring on the FDA side of the equation. This one's for Alzheimer's, one that's affecting a lot of you and has affected a lot of you and your family. This is the last one I'll tell you about as well. There's some great stuff with space. China's trying to loan out its moon rocks for research, which is pretty interesting. But universal vaccine targets coronaviruses to prevent future pandemics. Scientists at the University of North Carolina, Gillings School of Public General Health, have developed a universal vaccine that protected mice, not just against COVID-19, but also other coronaviruses, and triggered the immune system to fight off dangerous variants. So it's interesting. I'm not sure why we put all of our great research into mice, but apparently mice are now protected from coronavirus and all the variants. Maybe they'll bring this someday to us. It's interesting when you see that, though. You're seeing people make these pan viruses, which will cover everything that goes to corona base. So very interesting to see those pieces as well. One battle brewing as well is billionaire battle. This is kind of like one of those cage matches. It's Bezos versus Branson. Bezos versus Branson versus Musk. As that, it's a three-way cage match. Billionaires are battling for space. They are looking to, how do they mine? How do they, how do they take over space and own part of it? So these guys are battling from their lottery winnings on Earth to live and colonize other planets. So it's really interesting to see. Anyway, there's a bunch of things going on in the future. That's just one day of them. There's many more. As I find groundbreaking ones, I'll bring them up to you as well. But as Ken had said today, as Zach was reporting to the markets, we're here for you. We're here to help you with whatever you need. Most importantly are the questions that you have. We're not that concerned with what we want to bring to you, but we know we bring you things from time to time that aren't in your scope or in your screen. We'll continue to bring those to you, but we really love listening to the questions that you have. Please feel free to be vulnerable. You can ask any question to us. You can ask anything that that is a concern to you, because we've probably heard it maybe confidentially with other clients, but we understand it. We'll listen. We'll look at some solutions if you need them, or just listen if you need to. So again, we appreciate that. We appreciate you sharing those over time as well with us. Anything you have concerns about, let us know, because that's what drives the content of what we study for you. It's about us. We want to help you plan it, live it, and then give it. And really, there's three different things. On the give it side of the equation is how do I give it away? What happens if something happens to me early? What happens to my insurance? Just tons of questions on the give it side. To live it, we've talked about Michelle Nudge Norris as well is going to be with us for how to live in a vital way now as well. And then on the planet side of the equation, Ken was just talking about this. How can we plan for the different items that are going on? So every day we look at different factions. How can we make this an entire offering for you? That's what we hope is unique to you. We hope only award that we really want to win is being your #1 advisor for the rest of your life and on a day-to-day basis. So that's the award we're most concerned with. So thank you tremendously. With that, I'll let you go. And it was a little bit longer today. I apologize for the extra time, but thanks for your attention. And with that, please have a great, great week. Please remain grateful. You guys are fantastic at that, and be safe. Have a great week. Have a great 2 weeks. Enjoy. And have a great 4th of July, celebrating our independence. Enjoy.